Hello.
Hello, boss?
Yes.
Yes, sir. This is Izzy from MMA Jam Live. How are you doing this evening, sir?
Doing great. How you doing?
Good. I'm very honored for you to come on. I thank you so much for taking time out of your day, a couple of minutes here to chat with us.
Oh yeah, of course, no problem.
Okay, sir. We'll get right into it. You've had a long, brilliant, and highly decorated career, whether it be as a kickboxer, mixed martial artist, or analyst. In the 30-plus years that you've been involved in combat sports, what would you say has been your most gratifying experience?
Oh, the whole ride, to tell you the truth, to where I come from, being bullied as a kid, very sick as a kid, spent a lot of hospital time, a lot of medication, bad skin disease, and then fighting myself out. I like the whole ride. Kickboxing, I was always good, but I wasn't like these guys from the K1. I grew up in another time. People say, "Oh, yeah, he's a top striker from all this." Yeah, I was good, but these guys are great over there. And then, of course, when I started doing MMA and suddenly got the knack for it, for the ground game, found this one training partner that we started training together. That just changed my life. That was when I realized that. I told my wife, I said, "Man, I think I can be a champion in this. This is going really well now, suddenly." And then just everything, the way everything goes over. I go to America, then suddenly I go to the UFC. I have no job anymore because my neck is banged, my knees are banged. Then I stream over into broadcasting, everything by dumb luck. Start doing broadcasting. Another company asked me, the International Fight League, you want me to host for the International Fight League instead of being a trainer first. And, then Mark Cuban starts his organization and he starts a new TV show inside of MMA. I mean, all the time I was just right there, and it was like, it's almost like it was directed from above. And
now, you're definitely one of the most recognizable names in all of the sport, but your journey actually began at a young age. As you mentioned, you were getting bullied. What was it that interested you most about martial arts? Okay, guys, it looks like Bas got dropped. We'll call him back right now. Stand by, people. Sorry about that.
I have no clue what happened.
I have no idea. I started talking and I realized you weren't there anymore.
All right. Hit me. The second question you're at.
The second question was, obviously you're one of the most recognizable names in all of mixed martial arts, but your journey actually began at a young age. As you mentioned, you were getting bullied. But what was it that interested you most about mixed martial arts?
It was... it was the ultimate fighting, and I'm not saying this because the name Ultimate Fighting, but it was like, wow, you realize there's way more out there than just striking. Now suddenly, I remember my first class, ground fighting class. There was a bunch of guys from Amsterdam. They destroyed me. I literally had to stop my car on the way back, called my wife, and said, "I'm in the car sleeping." I said, "I'm so banged up. It's not even funny anymore." I came home, I had to eat like liquid food for the 3 days because my whole throat was smashed, from rear naked chokes that they put, not a blood choke, but, the windpipe. And I thought I could hold these things, so I didn't want to tap. And so then I was super intrigued. I realized, it's, the toughest guy on the planet is the guy who knows all this, who knows the striking and the ground.
Now, Bas, you had a lot of great moments throughout your career, winning titles everywhere, But my favorite moment, the one I pinpoint, occurred on September 7th, 2006, when you defeated Marukatsu Funaki, which you ended up avenging a prior loss. And looking back at that moment, at that fight, where would you place that victory on your list of accomplishments?
That was huge for me, because he was the first person to beat me in mixed martial arts. My third fight was that. I did it by the way of toe hold, which I didn't even know what it was. I knew it hurt a lot, but I didn't know what it was. So then when I had the rematch, and this was so great because it was the final fight of my contract. I had the feeling that the Japanese organization kind of set this up. So let's let him fight the last fight against Funaki. Funaki will beat him again. That will help us with the renegotiation. So that was that's the idea I had, and then to beat him, that was a really big feeling. It felt the same as getting a world title.
I actually saw that fight again this morning, and one of the things that always impressed me the most is like the fact that you used to strike people with your palm, and I think that's just an underrated technique. Like it looks brutal and it looks like it hurts like hell.
It really does. It one of the rules, they had some crazy rules in Japan that you had to open strikes to the face, but what I did, I used the bone of my wrist. I didn't really slap him. I hit just with the bone. And I used to fight like that as a bouncer because I saw my buddies breaking their hands on people's skulls if they hit the wrong angle, they hit the top of the head. So I used to fight like that all the time. And I still till this day, I have no clue. I do clotheslines in my class for so long. Finally, like a couple of months ago, I put one on Facebook. I said, well, listen, I see nobody using it for my gym for the last 2 years, so let's share it with the world, see if we can see some people, because the punch, those punches are very hard to defend, and even when they put the defense up, they loop around the defense. It's such a powerful strike, and yet nobody's using it.
Yeah, it's definitely baffling because it seems like a very underrated technique. I mean, there's just so much that could occur when you hit someone with the bone of your wrist right there, of the bottom of your hand.
Especially, yeah, and you hit a little bit on the back of the head. It's behind the ear. Your head is designed to get impact from the side and from the front. Because that's where everybody hits. But if you look around, you see this now happening more often with those crazy long overhand rights. They hit kind of the back of the head. And that shakes the brain really hard and knocks people out. We saw Junior Dos Santos did it to Cain Velasquez, and Cain Velasquez did it back to Junior Dos Santos. Very early on, it was Brock Lesnar doing it to Randy Couture, although I believe because his striking was not so good that it was kind of, because bad technique, so to say, but it worked really well. That's the way he knocked him out. And I go, okay, now finally I hope that people will start seeing what I was doing there in Pancras. And only when they do it with their knuckles, they still have a chance of breaking a knuckle. Like Fedor Emelianenko broke his hand like 2 or 3 times because he's got such incredible power. And then he hits with the knuckle, but you shouldn't hit with the knuckle because it lines up the wrong way. And that combines with a lot of power connected to a skull. Yeah, that will break your hand.
I don't think a lot of people realize how delicate those knuckles really are. I mean, you could have a strong fist, strong hands, but that bone, it doesn't take much to break it, especially if you're hitting someone on the top of the head.
That's it. That's exactly what you say. And if you in a clothesline, if you not even use the palm, but if you use the side of your wrist, where if you hold your hand like how do I say, your fingers. Your nails pointing up and you hold your hand out and then you look at your wrist and then if you put your left hand out and you look at the left side of your wrist and you hit with that part, the left side of your wrist, that thin part, I mean, you're not going to break anything, and especially not in MMA because there's the rep from the glove is also around there, It's super strong, super effective.
Completely agree. Now, Bas, moving forward a little bit, in 1989, at the age of, you were just 34 years old, you were forced into retirement due to several serious injuries. How difficult was it during that time, and how much did you miss fighting in the 7 years that you were out of the ring and the cage?
Yeah, it was very hard because I liked the training so much. I heard some fighters say they don't like training, but I was really always looking forward, to just getting tired and see how far I can push again. So that was a hard one for me. And every time when I would roll, my knees would blow up, so I couldn't do that anymore. And I really liked that because we had some really good guys there at the Beverly Hills Jiu-Jitsu Club, like Mark Lehman. He was just upcoming then. He was a blue belt, but he was freaking crazy good, and to roll with guys like that was just it was a fun thing to do. In sparring, I could still do a little bit, but if I would hit somebody too hard with a hook to the body or a back too hard, then I would get my tendonitis back, which was incredibly pain. That was really my career stopper. The knees were hurting and bad, but the tendonitis in both arms, that was really that's a whole taking pain to a whole different level. So yeah, it was hard. It was hard.
Now I mentioned it would take about 7 years for you to come back. You would return for one fight in 2006 against Ruben Villarreal, and that actually turned out to be your final fight. Was taking another fight after that on your agenda, or did you simply want one last fight?
You know what? I didn't train for 3 years, and they told me, "Do you want to fight?" And I said, "Yeah, but give me a week. Let me see," because I didn't train for 3.5 years. So I started training, and I said, "You know what? I think I can do it. I think my injuries it almost looks like it's gone." So then when I started training, the first 4 weeks were phenomenal. I mean, the first week was bad, of course, because I didn't train for a long time. But I picked up real fast, and suddenly, like 4 or 5 weeks later, I start really hanging out with the big guys again, and doing really well. And then everybody goes like, "Man, you got a new career again." I go, "This is weird. This is just crazy." And then suddenly, boom, like the 6th week or something, the first injury came back. I had to work around it. My second injury came back week 8, and I had to take a week off. And then week 9, and I had only 10 weeks to prepare, for that fight. And after 3.5 years, every week counts. So I thought that I was going to fight more in the first 6 weeks for sure. But then once everything came back, the tendonitis comes back. Tendonitis, like I said, it's pain to a whole different level, and you can't even think straight anymore. If you have somebody on top of you, there's no way. I had a guy I was training with, I was at Eddie Bravo's gym. He was on top of me. I could not get him off. He was like a big guy. His nickname was Colossus. And I said, "Give me 3 days rest. Can you come to my gym? I would love to roll with you again because he looked very much like Kimo Leopoldo, the original opponent I was going to face in that fight." And then he came back in 3 days. Yeah, then it was a whole different ballgame. My tendonitis felt good, and then you really realize what you can do. You start flipping guys back left and right. And then it suddenly becomes easy. So pain is very hard to work around with, especially if it hurts a lot.
Now, exactly how did you fight a lot of your career with that pain, or is this something that happened in the latter stages, like in your mid-30s?
It's just so weird. It stopped my track and field career when I was young, around 17 years old, because I already realized later when I started going back in time, I realized with javelin and shot put that I had tendonitis also. But and my knees also. My knees would, if I do a high jump, my first jump would be at 6 feet, and then my next would be like 6'4". I mean, I had to make big decisions because I had only like 2 or 3 jumps in me, and otherwise my knees would be hurting again for 2 weeks. And then I didn't do anything since that time. Yeah, I did karate and Thai boxing, but I didn't really put as much stress on my knees anymore, like with the grappling and everything. And for some reason that went away, and I didn't have it. I started MMA at 28, and so at a very late time. And I was surprised, thinking back, I was really surprised that I could hold out for 7 years.
Now, sir, plenty has changed since your days in the sport. What are your thoughts on where the sport is today, and do you see it being able to continue to thrive in a world where it still isn't universally accepted?
Oh yeah, it will. It will. It's just something that people have to get used to. We always know. I say this all the time, and we all know this. Like the glove is invented to protect the hands. Boxing is more dangerous than MMA. But we fans know that, and some fans don't even know that either. But that means if they don't know, then the rest of the world doesn't know. And if you really think about how many fans we have, well, that's compared to the complete population. If 10% is there, that will be a lot of fans. So I don't even think it's 10%. So the rest of the population just thinks it's guys in the cage and it's more dangerous and people are going to die and break bones. They don't look at all the boxing deaths. But if one, God forbid, one comes in MMA, we only had a few, thankfully. Already bad, of course, but I'm saying thankfully that's not like more. Then they should simply start understanding it. There should be they should bring out some really cool documentaries. We were actually working on one right now, where the documentary is going to come out. These are the guys also from Stronger, Faster, Better, what is it? Faster, Stronger, Faster, or something. Bigger, Stronger, Faster. Those guys, they made a really good documentary. A lot of people saw that, and I think when you have a documentary like that about MMA and regular people start watching it and they go like, whoa, wait a minute, You know, is that all true? Isn't it as, it's not as dangerous as boxing. It's actually safer than, you know, then you start opening a lot of eyes. And I think once you have that and people realize it only looks bad, but if you understand the sport, it's not bad. I can give an example from judo fight. Well, look at the Ronda Rousey, you know, she snaps arms. I'm pretty sure she did it in judo as well. I'm pretty sure in judo competition somebody gets an arm broken here and there or get choked out or something happens, you know. And if I take all these accidents that happened from the last 10 years, so to say, and I put it on one video clip and I show it to the people at home, they're going to go, oh my God, judo is crazy. I mean, people break their arms, break this, you know. So it's just how you project it. But since it's an Olympic sport, you know, no, it has to be good. You know, people don't think. A lot of people, most of the people, it's just, I always say it's just like a herd. They just repeat what other people say. They don't think about it. Instead of a reporter going like, wait a minute, you know, it's human cockfighting. How long did we hear that stupid phrase? You know, and since all the rules were changed, they were still using that stupid phrase. Just people repeating what other people say. You know, and I could never get that a real reporter does a real documentary about MMA, shine a good light on it, shine what really happens behind, you know, behind the fighter, and see his family, and see what great people they are. Everywhere I come and I talk to people, and I never say I'm a fighter. You know, if they go back, oh, what you do? I'm always a TV host. Oh, but mixed martial arts? Yeah, mixed martial arts. Oh yeah. Did you used to compete? Yeah, a while back. You know, but everybody goes like, my God, you're such a nice guy. But I said, well, that all the fighters are that. You know, the only fighters who are not nice are the guys who probably, you know, the guys looking for fights on the street. They're insecure guys. The guys who never will make it to the top, and to still get a light shined on them, then they have to do it that way. You know, but all the top guys, I would say almost every top 100 guy in every weight class, they're really great guys.
You know, that's actually a fascinating story. Now, in my home state of New York has proved to be the biggest problem as far as sanctioning goes in the United States. Do you feel like maybe that low tolerance comes from a lack of understanding about what it means to be a mixed martial artist?
Yeah, I think that, yeah. First of all, you know, that's, but it has a lot to do also with that the whole what is it called? The big company, I'm shooting a blank right now. It will pop in my mind in a little bit. But understanding is the most important. The thing is in the government, when you're in the government, this is like in Holland, the same thing. These people see cage fight, oh, it's barbaric. It's like when there was, you know, in England were these 6 years old cage fighters, they called it. These guys were wrestling. They were wrestling. There was not even with submission holds, there were no chokes allowed, no heel hooks allowed, no anything that can damage your body wasn't allowed, and it was just wrestling. There wasn't even punching allowed. But because it was in a cage, oh my God, it blew up in Europe. You know, Holland, oh my, cage fighting kids. These guys were wrestling. They were submission grappling. You know, they don't even. And again, if one reporter there goes like, you know, the thousands of reporters say that are cage fighting. Why am I not the one guy who says, no, this is not what real went on. What went on for real was kids doing wrestling with submissions, just like judo, just like jiu-jitsu. That was exactly the same rules. They were not allowed to choke. You know, then he would have been the only guy who would have been different than all the other reporters. And I'm pretty sure that if you're the different guy, people listen to you. You know, but for some reason, in news, the only thing that attracts is violence. You know, every good thing that happens is in Holland. There's soccer. Soccer is legal. You know, and it's not legal. Fighting is not legal in Holland anymore. MMA, because fights that happened in the audience. Oh, really? So you want to start talking about fights that happened in the audience? Well, let's watch a soccer game in Holland. I mean, they needed the enforcements that they need. Military police. You know, some soccer teams against each other, they need to drive them through gates to tunnels to the event, because otherwise they tear the whole city up. You know, and nobody says anything about that. You know, it's insane. Let soccer keep going, but it's, hey, you're kicking a ball. You know, it's not fighting. But once fighting happens at a fight event, then they are fighting because it's a fight event. You see what I mean? It's such a crazy way of thinking. I have no clue. The worst part is, that if they don't do the homework about a simple thing like mixed martial arts, then I guarantee you that they don't do a lot of homework about all the other things, the taxes or whatever, because they're just repeating what the people above them say. Because everybody's afraid nowadays to lose their job, and if I don't agree with the guy above me, I might lose my job. So okay, whatever he said. Now, if that guy is a guy who has no clue and didn't do his homework, well, then so be it.
I think, honestly, that it comes from a fear, like just a fear of not understanding what it really is. And to be honest, underground MMA and amateur MMA is legal in New York, but pro MMA isn't. And I never really understood why that was.
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense. Just that fact already, so that means that without ambulances there, without doctors there, it's legal. But when you do exactly the same stuff with the security and with testing, with dope testing and with all that stuff, it's illegal. You see what I mean? So it's just a problem that they have here. The Fertitas with their hotel and the culinary union. That's it. I truly believe the whole thing comes back from the culinary union. They have a problem here with the Fertitas in Las Vegas, and they are the ones who are stopping it by now in New York, and they say, don't let them in, because they're very powerful.
Which is ridiculous in itself, because it's such an isolated incident. It's a problem with the Fertitas themselves, and I understand the Fertitas obviously own the UFC, but it's an isolated incident. It has nothing to do with mixed martial arts, and the fact that they're allowed to continue to do this and influence a state like New York is just really heartbreaking, to be honest.
Influences the whole world, influences everybody, influences the money that comes in New York, influences all the fighters, the fans, everything. Yeah, it's insane. It's that's egos in politics, man. I always say that's where the real criminals are.
Completely agree. Now, this is my final question, boss. I absolutely I loved you in the film Here Comes the Boom. Your character was both hilarious and charming. How would you describe your time on that set? And is appearing in another movie something you'd be interested in?
Yeah, you know what? I'm actually, that's why with this interview I said, well, we got it around to do this time because I'm shooting Mall Cop 2 right now here in Las Vegas with Kevin James. And so I'm in another one. It's not as big as a part as I had in Here Comes the Boom. But, Here Comes the Boom, I mean, what was not to love? I mean, that was pretty much me playing me. Having a lot of fun and meeting the fans, Henry Winkler. I mean, we used to watch him Happy Days in Holland every Sunday with the family, He was the hero from us. Salma Hayek, always hanging out with Kevin James. I mean, every time I can get with Kevin, he's just a phenomenal guy. Bill LaGrotti was there. I mean, that whole group, it was a really good group. I think they promoted the movie a little wrong. That's why we think, that people thought, oh, it's about fighting, because if you really see the movie, it's about helping people, and doing good things for other people.
That's exactly what I took took from it. It's about, overcoming adversity and not just a fighting sense in just a personal life sense. And I got to say, my favorite part with you was when you were, practicing for the exam, and you were singing the America song, has a president that, whose term is only 4 years long. I thought that was one of the most funniest things about the whole movie. So I thank you for that. You provided us with tremendous comedy there.
Oh, that was actually my first scene that I had on the movie. When I came in, I had to do my first scene. That was the singing scene. And it was funny because I am a United States citizen, so I knew all the answers. So I had to go like, oh, I don't know that the president goes for 4 years. I really have to say 2 years. Come on, man. So that was kind of funny. And she also, that Reese, the girl, the singer. I mean, what a great actress she was also. And then the singing, of course, is off the chart.
Yeah, it was. I was definitely inspired by that movie. It was really. As a matter of fact, they show it a lot. I saw it a couple of days ago because they play it on Stars every now and then, and every time it's on, I always have to find a way to sit down for a few and watch it. So incredible movie, and I'm glad you had a part in it. And you were just incredible in it.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, sir. Well, I know we went a little bit over it, but thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to chat with us. It was a tremendous honor, boss. I thank you so much.
You're very welcome, and thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir, and you have a wonderful weekend. Take care.
I'll get up to you too. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.